beliau adalah partner of Vezapp Solution. Jadi Vezapp Solution ini dari LLP India. Paparan yang akan dilaksanakan oleh beliau itu dengan tema digitization of labor intensive, digitization of labor intensive foundries using smart mobile application. Jadi ini lebih aplikasinya menggunakan smart mobile. Mr. Busan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
We continue to your presentation. Maybe I will announce to in your VT to all member this presentation. Okay, sure. Thank you. I will continue to.
Sure. Okay, you
to
can
your
see
VT.
my...
Okay.
Yes.
I will read to your VT. It's okay?
Yeah, you can see my screen now.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Before we continue, I will announce to a participant about your VT first. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Busanbat.
Yes. Should I continue?
Maybe before I will read the curriculum vitae of your.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. This is Mr. Busamba Pite, Dr. Pite. Mr. Busan, founder of Auto Design Online. And then at 2020 until now, Mr. Busan partner with Vezapp Solution, LLP India. But the profile, Mr. Busan, an entrepreneur who start company with the focus to bring latest technology solution to India. So Mr. Busan is a good nationality for India. And then in past decades successfully collaborated with world leaders who has expertise on the field of design simulation, Industry 4.0, to ensure Indian manufacturing unit achieve quality status compared to those in Germany and USA. And then after a decade, he has been helping hundreds of manufacturing units, foundries as a consultant, advisor, reseller, and trustworthy partner to guide to pass the area of design simulation, productivity, digitization through Industry 4.0. And better utilization of existing infrastructure which yield to improvise OEE. Today, at the age of 30 plus, his valuable voice of trustworthy source with attending various domestic and international seminar, conference as industry love to hear young entrepreneur how to meet the challenge of current time, advanced technology and solution, know-how. About the education, Mr. Busambat at 26 to 27, he attended Pokok Sulu in Ustad, Master in International Automotive Engineering, and then in 21 and 25, Mr. Busan and PVC College Pune University in Mechanical Engineering. His expertise help MSM is to adopt latest technology and solution to improvise the quality, and then change mindset from reactive to proactive to control the manufacturing process to reduce scrap and rejection, and then utilize the know-how of CAD of CAD, design simulation, quality management software, advanced scanner, reverse engineering, online inspection in real time, ERP interface, machine interface, IoT solution to achieve Industry 4.0 using infrastructure as well new facility. And then how to achieve Industry 4.0 with minimum investment. The goal is to take this journey further in every possible way to help Indian company who has all capability to competitive with the rest of the world. We have potential skill and all desired characteristic that he needs is little guidance strategy to ensure with the right balance of investment and automation that he achieved in the highest level of quality of manufacturing process. We have 45 minutes a presentation and answer and question. Please,
Sure.
Mr. Sandar, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yoon and Happily, for giving us this opportunity in association with you for this important aspect that in the current area we are all living of the COVID times. And you know, despite balancing your work with your so to say, in this time where we have limitations to access your data, where your limitations to access your Foundry, but that does not allow you or stop you from doing what you have been doing now. So this is why it will be necessary for all of us to, you know, how to balance this with the information technology and the data we are living in the era. So I would request all of you to be, you know, get some know-how and exchange the know-how with the current situation we all are in. So I will be highlighted this introduction Mr. Yoon has already given, so I would be skipping this part. I am working with Foundry since last 10 years, and in this 10 years we have worked on the areas of Foundry quality management systems, the ERP system, Industry 4.0, digitizations, and many more areas, including simulation, design, and so on and so forth. But the main crux is that the challenges that lying in the labor intensive Foundry are different from those countries, let's say Europe or USA and otherwise, because there you see a very high end of automations, robotics are in use. The challenges that we have in APEC region by and large, not just in India, is that we have a lots of dependency on human, on labors. So how to deal with those challenges when we do not have this automatic machines running 24/7 just on your commands? Rather, you need to communicate, you need to plan, you need to explain, and that's where the challenges are lying, where you will need to have end-to-end communication, where you have to have end-to-end the discussions and all the issues related to that. So I would say this is the area where I believe this APEC region is different than the Europe and USA, and that's where they need something unique solutions. Depends on the skill and the advantages we have in this APEC region, which is in Asia and Pacific region. So how we will combination of this may work. So I would say that you know, this Vezapp is the idea that we launched in 2020 mid, and the whole idea behind is that, you know, the smartphone that we all are used to now is very having a good penetration across the top to management to the bottom level of worker. That means this device is one of the common thing that everybody knows how to use it, that everybody knows how to operate it, and that everybody is very comfortable with. But we are not knowing that the same device could help you to convert your manufacturing process, to convert your Foundry into digitization without any investment. Now that is a very big deal, because without investing into the infrastructure, you can take your Foundry to the next level. So what we have developed is basically an Android, iOS, and web application. So these applications can be used on all the platforms, whether it's on Android, iOS, or web browser. It can be accessed to all the platforms. And the main purpose is to replace the manual paperwork, the Excels, and data redundancy. Now, this is one of the area, if you see, most of your white collar employees, and the admin staff and the HODs of different departments are spending this time on this data collections, which is not their job. That means their time is going to present to the management, compile data from various logbooks to the Excel file to various dashboard, and then it goes to the PPT or presentation, and then it goes to the management. Now that's not the job of this head of the department. That's not the job of these employees, right? Their job is to be present on the shop floor, to monitor the data, to guide the actual shop floor workers, and then they monitor this process in real time, so they will ensure this processes are going as per the process control, and you will not face the rejections or difficulties later on. That is not happening, because the expectations from the management comes the various reports, the dashboard, which is not ready to use available. That is what we need with the purpose. So our aim is to record the data from the shop floor single time wherever it is recorded. That means wherever the data is generated on the shop floor in the Foundry, that should not be repeated, that should not be recorded twice and thrice into different applications or different software, or even from paper to Excel. That is a pure data redundancy and waste of time that we want to plug in and overcome this challenge, I would say. So the outcome would be that you will have a preventive alerts that you will be able to get if some process parameters are out of spec. For example, right now you all are here, and of course your foundries are running. What if some of the process parameters are out of spec and they are writing down into papers? You will just continue listening me here in the webinar, but something is already going wrong in the foundry, right? Now just imagine another situation where if that person was not recording the data into the paper and the logbooks, rather entering the data directly into the mobile phones. In that case, you would have received the notification, even you are listening me in this webinar, and you might have taken some prompt action, maybe leaving this even webinar if that is critical, and you would have taken some required control of the process on the shop floor. Now that is possible only when data is coming from the shop floor live, but still without IoT, because it may not be feasible for Asia, I'm saying still by and large, or there may be another decade ahead where you will be able to put IoT device on every single machine, or those areas where there is no machine, because this is all collected by the manpower, by the human. So you cannot put the IoTs on those areas where human is collecting data, where human is recording data. That is where the challenges, as I said again, is different in Asia, where our dependencies are on human and not on machines in certain areas. That's where this will change the process. We will see the live dashboard, production, rejection, breakdown, or COPQ, traceability. All this area we would be able to see how we can combine this data to get the complete Foundry data on the single platform. So I think you know the Foundry challenges, so I may not get into that depth, because the material prices are increasing. It's not in your control. You cannot do anything about it. But what you can do is you ensure that you consume the material as per plan. You ensure that you don't have any material wastages, you don't have electricity wastages, you don't have any rejections that comes to the control and within range, so you will be able to take more corrective actions and preventive actions based on the data. But the problem is the data, because data is lying on the logbooks, on the paper, so you are not able to see your own data to make a concrete action plans, to follow the process that has given you a very good sound castings. You are not able to utilize that data after 6 months, because those data are lying on the Excel files and the logbooks. You are not able to utilize them. And that is where the digitization is becoming important. not for your customer to impress, not for audit. These are all byproducts. But the main benefit is you, your team, and your company. So please keep in mind that digitization is not for others. It is for your own company's profitability, your know-how, and otherwise required for your team. So multiple island data points. You have some data in PLC, some data in logbook, some data in Excel, some data in spectrometer, and everywhere. So how to get all data into one platform? Because until and unless you will not see the complete picture of the data, you will not be able to do the correct root cause analysis, right? So this is the you will not be able to get the traceability. These are all the issues that are lying there. Shortage of manpower and skilled manpower. Now we say that every time in Foundry, nobody wants to work in Foundry. They don't like the environment, the dirty and dust and fumes. They don't like it, right? We say this every time. So how we shift from that? No, even the other streamline, if somebody is just mechanical engineering, production, or even computer engineer, how to fit that skill into Foundry? That is possible if you have a predefined templates, you have a predefined know-how that somebody can join your company, read the process, how to melt this grade. Okay, I need to put XYZ material of this quantity, this combinations. I should get the spectrometer, I should compare it, and then I should proceed it further. Similar way for other areas as well. This needs a know-how guideline for your own Foundry, the process control of your Foundry. If that is available, you have a possibility to hire other stream and they will be able to fit to your Foundry and you will get benefit of them, right? Difficult to maintain IT infrastructure. Yes, of course, we say we are not an IT company, right? Every Foundry is not an IT company. Even we are not IT company. Still, we are talking about mobile applications. We are coming from the background of mechanical engineering, automotive engineering, and we are taking it further. So despite that, we don't know how the IT infrastructure, which is not required. So how you detach yourself from not maintaining into IT infrastructure, but still you get the data you need. How we can combine this? How to get daily COPQ, cost of poor quality? That is every leakage that is unknown to you, but is draining down the money. So how to go to this level? I will show you practically some of these areas and you will be able to realize what this means and how it can be plugged in. Well, the question is why we are talking about Vezapp and digitization. The reason behind is that you know the story about the blind man and the elephant, So this is what probably we are doing in Foundry sometimes. I'm saying this from my last 10 years working with Foundries, right? When something occurs wrong, when customer complains, when there is high rejections, we all sit down in a nice conference room and discuss what went wrong. Okay. And of course, then everybody will come, okay, there is a problem with pattern and sand properties and the molding properties and the pouring temperature and melt practice. Everybody has their own idea, right? But this is nothing different than the story of a blind man and the elephant, right? Because everybody has their own opinion. But where is the data? And that's why I'm putting this here, that without data, it's just working on the problem just as a blind. It's my gut feeling. It's my experience. That's only I say. But it is not necessary. It's true. Maybe my experience is wrong. That should correlate with the data, and the data should create the complete and real picture of what went wrong. Otherwise, it's just another discussion another day. This may come repeat again every 15 days, every 1 month, every few months. That should not happen. You should have a concrete data to argument what went wrong. And it is possible because you all are recording data. I am not asking anything more. Whatever you will see today, this all data you are already recording, no matter how small Foundry it is or how big Foundry it is, everyone is recording the data. The problem is data is recorded on the paper and Excel and you are not able to see that. That's the challenge and that's the problem. So this is a beautiful world where you see in the management review meeting, everything is fine. Yes, we have a monthly review templates and weekly review and we have audit compliances, everything is fine. What you are not able to see is the underneath of that, the amount of money that you are losing in your sand preparation, in your melt of power consumption, the furnace holding, the actual plant material against sorry, a material plan versus actual consume into every heat, right? Or even for late editions or other late process, your rework cost, your material loss. So this data is, nobody lost this data, and that's where nobody knows there is a loss of money, because this does not come into visibility, this does not come into in front of you into a picture. So we will focus on those underneath area, right? First of all, the casting rejection is not the only money you lose in Foundry. It's much more than that. Okay, so problem is not just casting rejection, but beyond that. So you need to identify which are this area. Every Foundry has to identify which are this area where you are losing the money, and that is only possible if you are able to identify every area and start collecting data. So we can't change the way the Foundry operates. Okay, yes, there will be sand, there will be fumes, there will be furnace, there will be dark, and the picture, it is like that. Yes, we know it's art, we are dealing in the dark room, right? But what you can change is how you manage this Foundry, how you manage this environment. That makes a lot big difference, comparing and turning your Foundry into profitability, into a productivity, into a process controls. That is a huge difference there you can make. Now, the idea is to get all data into one platform. I would rather take you through the actual application than just slides. So many Foundries has different rules. Okay, you may have a date code, you may have a every heat wise segregation, you may have a later on different segregation process. The problem is, when we find some problem into casting, how to find the problem or what process were used at that time. Let's say I have a customer to whom I have sent this part, and this is say 21K9A5. This is my own Foundry heat code process, okay, where we monitor and trace down the process. Now what will happen, the customer will ask you, okay, tell me how many parts were produced along with this heat, because we find out some problem in the hardness, or I don't know, crack development or something like this. Now then the responsibility comes to Foundry to know and share the data of what happened to this part when it was manufactured. Now it is very challenging. If you are on paper and Excel, you have to go and find out what was the day, what was the data, because some are in logbook, some are in Excel. Here you can see, if I just select this, I can say, okay, this part was produced on October 9, 21. This is my part number, this is my batch code, and I will just select this date. And now my system will able to find out exactly all the data that has been recorded when this part was produced. Okay, now you see, I can say this part was produced on October 9th. When this part was produced, this was my molding sand properties. I am saying this as an example for the green sand Foundry, but this could be for any, for steel or aluminum. It may have different process parameters, but the logic remains the same. Okay, so you can see this process has used while producing. This was my charge mix. This was my first bath spectro time, my actual mass spectro time. This were my spectrometer reading, my bath and final spectrometer reading. This were my late addition, what we have added into this furnace and this produced part. This was my temperature of poured, mold, first box, last box, and this is what I had in the last, my hardness, my mass structure, and my different properties of the nodularization count and so on. Now this is what you should get, not only when customer complains, but even when you internally do your root cause analysis of something, this data should appear and help you, because this will give you the exact picture what has happened on the shop floor on that day. Otherwise, it's, as I said, just the same story, blind man and elephant, which you don't want. We want to take to the next level where you see the data and discussion around that. Same way, this is what you should get. So I am highlighting you why it is important to have data. Okay, and then we go to the actual stages of like sand, mold, and we will see what is the, how to get this data. So first of all, you understand the importance of data, and then we will see how to get this data. We will see both the parts. Okay. The next thing that you should get is, if I click on any of my date, I should get my cost of poor quality, the real money I lost, and that has actually lost. This is not theoretically lost. I'm saying your money actually lost on any specific day, right? So let's say if I take about this day of May 18, 2020, for example, how many core were produced, how many core were rejected, what is the spillage of core? Nobody count this spillage, but if you know the number of batches produced for the core, if you know the number of cores actually produced, what is the difference of the sand weight, the number of core produced and number of core batches produced? If that difference is there, means that sand had been spillage, and you think it's a small amount, but when you will do the cumulative figures of this, of days and weeks and months, it will be in multiple hundreds of dollars. This is not anybody counting as a loss of money. This nobody is counting, because it's not casting rejection. But remember, this money is lost even before you produce a casting. This is already lost, right? So remember this losses. Number of molds produced depends on number of bad mold produced, number of bad batches produced, what amount of sand wastage. This sand already consumes your bentonite, lustron, anything, your resin, hardener, paint, anything. This is a loss, and this is a cost for you, both time-wise, labor, material. Nobody counts this. So if you will be able to monitor systematically data of your every day, every week, every month, you will be able to make action plans that, okay, last month we have lost 60,000 or 6,000 US dollar. Next month it should not go beyond 4,000. You make action plan, because now you know where you lost it. If you don't know this, you will not make an action, because for you there is no loss. Okay. I mean, I'm also giving you an example of melt. Remember, melt is 80% of your cost. Actual cost burning down is melt. Now, this example, what I'm showing you is one of the case study, I can say, from actual customers. You see that in every furnace, let's say I have a furnace of 1500 kg. I have 3 furnaces of 1500 kg. And what happened was that for every furnace we are making the same grade. Okay, we know make 2, 3, 4 similar grades, and the power consumption that varies in a shift, okay, for a same 1500 kg was observed between 710 and 1416. You can see here. Now that means the foundry has already set up the min max that for every 1500 kgs the power consumption should not be between it should be between 700 and 900. But you see the reality, it goes even up to 1416. This is huge. Okay, and I will show you drill down to the melt when I will go to the melt area, that how we can bring down if we consistently monitor this, because now you know that is that happen. But the question is how many time it has occurred, in which shift has occurred, who was the operator in charge of at that time, and then you will be able to monitor all these things. But first of all, you should know which are the area where this money is getting lost. So what we are doing is, let's go to this every area. We'll take it from the sand to the last area of let's say final inspection or something, and you will be able to correlate. So I will try to touch upon all this area very briefly because of the short time, and I think you will be able to understand the correlation between this. So in sand, you need the data. Okay, you need the molding or core sand data, your preparation data, and so on and so forth, consumables. This is what I meant in the sand. So if you go to the sand, do you know where the money is lost in sand? If not, let me just show you an example. Probably you know this, and ideally you should know this, but I'm just saying for example, let's say how to get. So if I go to the sand where I'm losing money, okay, real money, which is already drilled down. So if I know the sand mixture, if I collect the sand mixture data, number of batches, good batches, bad batches, the properties of the how my sand mixture varies. So for example, if I take an example of January 1 to 25th or anything, I have already lost money. If I switch to this US dollar, maybe for interesting or easy to you understand, you will be able to see that this money is lost in terms of my bentonite loss, my lustron sand loss, and the total loss. So around 400 $350 is already less just in 55 days. Now just multiply this into months and years. This is already going down to drain. Now the question is how to get this data. You can see daily your losses, you can see your daily good batches, percentage of bad batches, because these are KPIs for send department. They should monitor this on day-to-day basis for send department. How many good batches, bad batches produce on, what is the average number of bad batches or good batches you produce, what are the properties are moving in the direction. You can see the properties of cycle time, you can see sudden changes. Now this is not something this will impact your production, this will impact your quality. You can see this is not normal. Your sand temperature is suddenly changing from up and down limit, right? Here you can see the sand temperature. Now this is trend, this is your min max, it is going out of scope. What you did, you just monitor there, sitting there, you just keep happening this. No, you should have taken action. You should have come into picture and take some actions, because it is not within your 40 and 50 defined range. It is already 64. It is already even higher. So what is the point of discussing the root cause when you already see in front of your eyes that something is not right, something is not going in the right direction? This is the purpose of digitization. Okay, how we can get it, what you should do to get this. So the easy thing is, here you can see these are the different applications. I'm just opening it right now in the web browser, but in mobile app it will appear the same, and I will show you in mobile app version as well, so you will be able to see the look and feel of that. So these applications are divided into number of departments. So this red one are the core department, this is your sand department, this is your molding melt department, this is your maintenance, these are your inspections and QC department, this is your core and tool inspections, these are your applications into machinings, and so on and so forth. Now let's come to the sand. Okay, so if you enter the data of sand, just like this is what the data you are already recording in the logbooks. Only thing is that they will be able to record the data in the form of here into applications. So if you say the different type of sand, if you say okay, then I can say okay, these are your ranges. Now if you just enter the data of any of the data here, you will enter, it will reflect into this okay or out of spec. Now this is what I meant. So if you get a data, if something is out of spec, it will reflect there. This goes for every area. For every area of sand, you can see the various properties of sand you will cover here. Okay, same way you can see the data of the clays, of bentonite, of compatibility, GCS. This is what you can record, and you can see if it's out of spec, it will show you here, right? This is way of trends you can see of different bad batches produced. The same way, if you go to the core, you can see the monitor your core properties. You can in the tool, you can monitor the tool life cycle. So this is what you are calculating manually, right? But here the system will calculate the tool life of your molding patterns, of your core, or even in aluminum, if you have die patterns, its life will be calculated, depends on the actual pouring happen. So this is what you can see in number of tools that life will be calculated, and you get intimation when there's an inspection due for the tool inspection. You will be able to see that, right? This is, you can see the setup for the reminders of the inspection due coming up, and then you will see the status whether this inspection is completed or not. When you go to the core, you will see in the core data is entered. For example, if you see here, you will see the core production time, cycle time, and everything related to that. You will be able to see that. So let me just play this video for you, so you will be able to see. Here we are entering data into mobile application, so you will be able to see how user will be easily able to data, because the advantage of mobile is you can only go top and down, right? The problem with this many system has failed in Foundry is that the employees or the shop floor workers are not that skilled, the real shop floor workers. And if you give them a computer system with so many fields, so many areas to click, they get confused, and eventually they will stop entering data, because they say this is not the way comfortable for us, we are not that much comfortable with computer, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the mobile, they can only go top and bottom. The second advantage is we are only giving the fields which is already there. They are used to file in the logbooks. That means it is nothing but a digital logbook. Every logbook is digitally available and they will just enter data of their logbook. So here they will not complain because every data is linked and they know this data what they were earlier filling into different paper logbooks. Even we can combine different logbooks into one. For example, your core production, your core setup or mold setup approval, your first inspection data or breakdown. All this data can be combined into one application as well. So it will be very easy to even calculate the OEE and you can get data of OEE as well. So this is just for you to highlight. Same way your consumables, whether it's in molding or core, you can calculate the amine, resin, hardener, sand spillage, and so on and so forth. Right? You can get various dashboard here for core OEE and its calculation. Then it comes to the molding. You can see the molding data can be entered. And here I will also highlight one point that even interface with mobile application, if you go to the molding, you can see the molding can be given intimation into the mobile, like the applications like Slack. So here in the molding, you can see your daily production, your breakdown durations, your molding part code wise rejections, and daily how many molds produced of different parts. And now if you see this data of production, rejection, setup, approval, breakdown, etc., it's just like similar to the molding what we have seen earlier or core. Even the traceability of the mold heat code wise we are able to follow. So at the end you will be able to see the traceability with respect to every mold. We will be able to use it for even QC. So that means when you do the hardness check or micro or I don't know others testing you do, you will be able to say that you are doing this test for specifically this batch, because in terms of microstructure or hardness, if that part has failed, the whole batch needs to check. Like you need to do 100% inspection for hardness, for example, if required, because that one part has failed in hardness. This is only possible when you interlink them. By just saying the quantity, how many moles pour is not enough. So you need a segregation later on. You need a segregation, and if require 100% inspection, if you will be able to, for every batch, you are able to do this tracing, right? So this is just an idea behind the whole. You can see the sand wastage. Even the master is so elaborated. The number of cavities, the hardness required, the sand required for every mold is defined. So we can automatically calculate consumables. You don't need to run iterations to find out the consumables later on. And from sand wastage, of course, we are able to calculate the sand wastage depend on the number of molds rejected and so on and so forth. We also have a time span where start time, end time, and accordingly system can calculate the OEE. You can see this. These are your molding setup approval. You can enter here, and then it will calculate the OEE. Now you can see this is the OEE 85%. So this is an example where without IoT data, for example, if you are using, I don't know, a semi-automatic molding line or jolt squeeze line or something like this, but even there you can get the performance of the operator, you can get the OEE of the machine without any IoT device. This is why I'm saying the challenge with Asian foundries are that dependency on the human. But the biggest advantage with the Asian foundries are that they are much more smarter working with the mobiles than probably some others, because the penetrations of mobiles and its usage is very, very huge. Right? India is one of the largest country in the world, I think second largest in the world for mobile usage and internet usage nowadays. So this is where this limitations that we have in APEC region for Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia, all these countries, we can convert this into an advantage to mobile application. Now this is what I meant earlier. Now just imagine if this is a message you got right now live, that this molding line has a breakdown and this has occurred. Probably you will not sit here. You may need to go to the shop floor as well. So this is possible when we take data in real time, enter data in real time, and you get feedback and you make actions, you take actions accordingly. Now let's go to the melting area. So in melting, first of all, I will highlight where are the losses. Okay, so I just already give you one example of the power consumption. Let me take you to the melt area and I highlight the same. So here you will be able to see probably where, okay, for any specific date, I would be able to say that, okay, how many net charging weight has been used, how many actual melt produced. These are number of heat taken between this timestamp 1 to 10 January, let's say. Now you can see on every day what was my melt code, how many ladles were ladle number, how many were poured, how many net charge weight there against how many were produced. And if you see the difference here, this means even there are some spillage or of the melt, or there are some extra pouring has gone. So over the period of time, you lose even 500, 600 kg or even 1000 kg of material. It's a huge cost. It's not small, but it's only possible when we interlink the liquid mode required, then actual poured quantity. We can find out theoretically how much melt should have been used and practically how much has been consumed, because now we know the tapping temperature, the weight taken into every ladle, the tapping and pouring weight taken, so we can compare this and find out what has happened actually against theoretically. This is very, very important, where money is losing and draining down in melt shop. Okay, then every furnace is another major power consumption, and you need to monitor them very precisely. So first of all, we would recommend every furnace should have independent meter reading. So what happens if you have this? Here we are able to find out for every furnaces what is unaccounted power consumption. Now this unaccounted, what happens in this unaccounted here, it's an interesting to learn that we find out that when there is a furnace start reading and end reading, let's say my furnace start reading what 14,000, my furnace end reading is 14,600. Now when I see the same furnace next start reading, okay, there is a difference of about 5 to 7 minutes in every start and end of the next furnace of the same furnace. And of course, because these 10 minutes are not recorded anywhere by the shop floor user, it consumes another 15, 20, 30, 50 units between two furnace, the same furnace start and end. That means my furnace end what 1416. For this furnace one, the next start reading should be 1400-600 or 1400-601, which is not happening. In reality, it was recorded as a 1400-630. That means this 30 minutes furnace were probably on, but the reading was not taken, the melting has not started. So if you just add upon this 30-40 odd units in every heat and in a cumulate to the day and shift, this is what happens. For just one furnace, around 697 unaccounted power consumption is there. Just multiply this with the units and you know the cost. The next, the loss of furnace holding. These are the reason, these are the number of occurrence happened because of the furnace holding. And this is a date wise my furnace holding has happened. Okay, now just this cost of furnace holding consumes 7474 extra units, and if you just convert it to your power consumption, you will be able to find out the loss in your local currency, right? This money is already lost without producing casting, because this is not casting rejection. So who will pay this cost? Will your customer pay this cost? Probably not, right? So this is why I'm focusing on melt shop a little bit more in depth, where this data plays a role for you to plug in your wherever money is getting lost. Okay, now this is what we have done. What we do in the complete data into the Foundry mobile application inside Vezapp, we will have our master data for materials, we will have a furnace master data, you will have your own recipe master, so you can create your own recipe master. How to make FG45012 grade, how to make SS308 grade, how to make LM13, whatever. Your recipe should be recorded. Okay, this is your know-how. Now the planning guy will do the planning of this furnace, and then he will plan it. They will be able to see what material will be consumed, what is the planning against which, how much material will be consumed. So we will be able to compare your planned consumption of material versus actual. This is possible if you have some recipe behind and planning behind. Otherwise, you will not be able to compare whether you consume excess material in the melting or not. Okay, so this is what you can see. So furnace planning, then actual melt. So that means the person on the deck will start entering the data into the melt. When the melt will start, then you have a spectrometer result. So we can compare the spectrometer result and the actual required chemical composition. We will do the late addition alloy. You will see the pouring report, and then of course the furnace maintenance or report or breakdown something. So this is what all data you require for melt shop. I will include melt shop inside pouring here, but this is what happens, and this all should be recorded. So here you can see in application that we need the data of furnace planning. Now you see this is a furnace planning, and the moment you enter the data, system will highlight you what composition is required and what bath chemistry you will get if you will plan this material. On the last two columns you can see the actual and planned material. If you change this, the system will indicate what will change happen in your bath spectro result. So this is where the technology is helping you. If you deviate from your planned way of charge composition, what will be the impact in your bath spectrum? And this is exactly the problem when we say we don't have a skilled person, because this data was in their mind. They will be able to judge and calculate, which the next generation is not able to do. And this is where your technology can help you if you record and use your know-how. Now you can see this is a planning, and the planning is done. The system automatically can send PDF file of the furnace planning to your core, tool department, molding, and everybody. So that means this is what generally happens in Foundry. Why we are doing this? You start the molding and the tool department will come say, oh wait, sorry, there is a grinding, we need to do grinding, we don't know you will require this tool pattern now. And this will spoil the complete planning. Your core are ready, your furnace is ready, and now says no, the tool is not ready. This is where the problem lies, because we are dealing with humans. There are miscommunication, there's are misunderstanding, there is not ready to available. This leads to the loss, and that's where you are not considering this to consider in terms of profitability. This communications also plays a role. So here a system makes plan, informs everyone. So identically in this case, tool department is ready with the tool whenever the heat requires or whenever the molding or core department requires it. So this is now planning. So accordingly the melt will happen, the melt data will start, the person will enter the data. Now you can see even there, if the shop floor guy deviate from the melter instruction, because the furnace planning is done, that means the melting in charge has informed how to produce this melt. But in case your melt on the melter on the shop floor deviates from this, even that can be compared. So you see here the CRCA was actually planned 400, now he has added 423. Who will pay this 23 extra kg of material? What is the impact of this into the bath spectrum is what we need to record and understand and discuss, which is probably not possible to do because this data remains in the paper. Then once you get the spectrometer, you see the late addition. So here the system will check the spectro data, and system can indicate you need to add carbon around 0.91 kg, you need to remove silicon, you need to remove manganese which is excess inside, and then so on and so forth. So this is possible because now we compare the spectrometer with the end result required, and we say what net need to be added into late addition to get a desired chemistry. This could eliminate lots of issues because this is traditionally done with the calculator, right? And then somebody will write down into the sheet, pass from the spectrometer lab to the shop floor melter, and then he will add something.
Excuse me, Mr. Busan.
Yeah. Yes.
Could you speed up a little bit?
Yes, because, I will just take another 2 minutes.
Question, it's there are a lot of questions for you.
Sure.
Okay.
So I will just summarize in 2 minutes then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then same way in the pouring, you can see the data of the number of moles produced, number of poured, how many rejected if there is, and this whole reason goes. The fettling, heat treatment, short blasting, I am not going in depth, but you can understand these are day-to-day progress, rework, which are having rejection reason, which will be mentioned here. And the same way for first inspection or final inspection can be done. For hardness or heat treatment, you can check whether the defined range the part has been inspected. This is your upper lower limit given by the customer, and whether the actual hardness is coming to that or not. So the master will always compare whether it's a sand properties, QC, melt, will always check whether it is fitting within the min max range or not. And in that case, it will indicate if there is any failure. Then your machine inspections or final inspections, dispatch, and so on and so forth. So the summary here is that why we have, Vezapp melt. So in summary, I can just highlight few points that why Vezapp makes sense for the labor intensive foundry. The first of all, we don't need any server. So the mobile phones of the employees, and there is no data risk. This data is hosted on Amazon cloud, which is even trusted by worldwide and even audited by various governments. So this is, first of all, the server cost will not require, you don't need licenses for Windows and MS Office, because your employee mobile phone can be used. There is no data threat because we are not saving any data into the local mobile phones. There are not required investment to purchase the laptop and desktop. So that means your ROI already starts from day one, because by just saving all the costs, you don't need to even buy any database like Oracle or something. So your database cost is not there. This mobile applications is available on the SaaS base, that is software as a service. There is no perpetual license. So you just pay for the monthage and the year usage, what you are going to use. You can buy add-on user any point of time, so you can scale up. You start with very limited budget, and then you, as you grow, you can sting it to the more users, to the more departments. There is no AMC cost here. The mobile application will be available from day one, because we are using a no-code platform here. So we are not writing any code. As I said, we are not IT company. So we are not writing any code for making these applications. It's only on the no-code platforms we are able to make it. The implementation cost is very, very less, because the implementation time, this is biggest thing I would say behind the success of Vezapp. Our implementation time varies from anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks to even up to 8 to 9 weeks. Even for the Foundry, which is producing about 1500 tons per month. So that is the biggest reason why it's helping you to achieve go live in the shortest possible time. So your user will keep an interest. If the implementation time is so large of years, by the time it comes live, the interest of the user is already gone. So this should not happen. Learning curve ideally not required, because I don't know so far any person who needs to give a training how to use Facebook, how to use WeChat, how to use WhatsApp. Not required. So they know how to use mobile, they know how to use application, as simple as that. What if lost? If you pay for any EXE based license, if your employee will stop using it, or if you will not comfortable it, your money is lost in perpetual cases. Here there is no perpetual license. You are only paying for the usage of what you are already actually using. So there is no dilemma that my money will be used, because you are paying only for the usage. Customization is possible for any area. So I just wanted to summarize here is that Foundry and the losses is not just casting rejection. If you monitor your data from sand to every area, there are so many leakages where money is draining down. If you just plug in, you can convert into profitable Foundry. This is possible. Thank you very much. Thanks, Harpley, whole team of Yoon, Mr. Videodo, Claudinia, for all the supports. I really appreciate, and looking forward to all the question answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Busan. There are several questions to you regarding to this application. Question number 1 from Mr. Rick from Matahari Wasiso.
Okay.
Is this database management system could be used in other non-Foundry, such as furnace maker, holding furnace, etc.? And then how effective this application is for Mr. Rick? So
if I just understand the question correctly, the question is that whether this application can be used for one department, like for melting.
This for another department, furnace maker.
So basically, we have about 35 to 40 applications for every department, right? From sand to mold to everywhere, right? Now the furnace department, what data they are entering, only they will be able to use this application, only they will be able to see the data. There are also settings where you can assign like which person should be able to edit the data or not, whether they will be able to change the data or not. This setting can be applied to every user. Okay,
Yeah.
so furnace guy can have their own application that the team will not be able to see or access this application, and every department has separate applications. However, the production order number, the part number, these are coming from master applications. So that is where the linkages are behind that will help you to get data across every department and every process data.
Okay. This is for Foundry process only.
This is for Foundry end-to-end process. It can be applied to machining. I mean, machining is also there, even for assembly, QC, every area.
Okay. Next question from Mr. Irwan Setiawan. In this app, we should count everything wasted material. The question is, how actual application collect data like spilling sand or corn? Maybe we should remanage our factory layout or maximizing collection every data we should collect.
This is a very good question.
Yeah.
See, correction will come into picture when you know there is action required. Okay, so if there is maybe possible spillage is happening because something problem with your sand mixture, okay, because sand is getting wastage over there. So if you are observing the data, if you first of all recognize that there is a spillage, you will take action. If you will not be able to first of all recognize and get the information whether there is spillage happening or not, you will not be able to take any action. So the question is, first of all, you have the data to decide whether you want to take any action, whether any action required, or this is within the range you say this is acceptable. So you have to define your limit, you have to observe your data, and if that data is going out of the spec or out of the defined range, even for spillages, then you can say, okay, action is required.
Okay. Next question from Mr. Hussein Taufik. Is the data could be entry by manual to the application, or it could be connected to our digital measurement tool?
Yes.
And second, I'm sorry, this is a second question. Because this is interconnected to internet, how this could be security? I think this is connected with the security data.
Yes. So I will answer this both the question. See, the next era of any, because everybody is talking about IoT, industry 4.0, digital transformation. This will not possible without internet. That is first point. Second point is, this will not possible until and unless you are able to talk to the multiple systems. That means nowadays the furnace manufacturers are giving their own IoT device, the molding manufacturers are giving their own IoT device, but you have to understand, in order to see the data of furnace and molding, you need to log into two different applications. One is for molding, they have a different user ID password, but they don't know the linkage of that furnace with the molding, while in reality for you every production of melt or heat or even pouring has a link with the molding data as well. So if that link is not connected, the individual data is very difficult to bifurcate, or let's say interlink with each other, that you need to do again manually. So that is why what we are doing here is that this is a cloud-based system, and in my opinion there are resistance from some of the large-scale companies on cloud side, but in reality in next 5 to 10 years they will come to the cloud in any way. So you will see in current times, whether it's Google, Amazon, all big giants, they are providing a cloud service. Even in our case, the data is on Amazon cloud. Why? We are not IT expertise. If we create our own cloud in US or somewhere, and then I will say that yes, look, we are having cloud and our cloud is safe, but we don't have the expertise that the Google or Amazon has. This data is saved in the encrypted mode, so it's encryption, so even Amazon cannot read it because the data is in encryption mode, right? So without the user ID and password, nobody will be able to see and access this. Only the question is, if you share your user ID and password with someone, in that case, yes, it is possible somebody can see your data. But this could happen with anybody. You can take a WhatsApp photograph of drawing and share with anybody, still is possible, right? So we have to, it's more about responsibility, and everybody understand the importance of the data. This may help in this case. Okay. And coming to the second point, what you said with the machine, that is why the Vezapp is designed with that idea that we will talk to the molding machine, furnace, and every machines where we take this data to a single platform. So as far as the Foundry is concerned, Vezapp becomes the single platform to analyze all the data, and they don't need to log in at different IoT devices separately to see the daily data.
Okay, next question from Mr. Pandar Sikandon. What kind of my mobile phone that can be used, and then is this sellable? How you sell this
Yes.
mobile app?
Yeah,
and
I
then,
just read the question. I just got the question on live here on screen as well.
yeah,
so
okay.
I will answer this question.
Mr. Pandar, I think.
Yes, yes. So this mobile applications, the mobile requires basically just like our Windows we use in laptop or Linux or something system. In mobile, basically there are two types of system in use broadly, I would say, Android and iOS. So if your mobile is Android or Apple, which is iOS system, or a Google based Play Store and everything like you are able to access, it's called as Android. So Android and iOS based both the system mobile will be able to use. And the third one is, if you are not willing to access on mobile, you can access through web browser, just like we use Gmail and everything. So on all this platform, it will be work. This is a very, very basic, I would say, in terms of investment. It starts from very basic, not even to a very big scale. So you can start from a very basic, and then you can add upon more application, you can add upon more users. So we have applications for only limited to the melt department, for only quality department, or the complete Foundry from send to dispatch. I would request you, I will share my email address as well, or with the Happily team, you can get my details, and request you to get in touch so we can share the offer of the applications and training and everything we can share you with in details.
Okay, last question from Mrs. Catherine Wijaya. Does this software include production planning?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it is, because we are doing a furnace planning heat wise. So our thought process is that if you follow the furnace planning, your molding core tool department will be able to plan accordingly. So we plan from the furnace point of view. We plan every furnace, and with that furnace, the core mold, everybody should keep ready required resources. So yes, we do provide product planning from the furnace planning point of view. Yeah, the next question is from Saran Kumar. Can this application customize for steel fabrication unit where most of the process labor intensive? By and large, yes, because ultimately we are talking about labor intensive way of doing it. But I would request also Mr. Saran Kumar to get in touch through email so we can have one-to-one discussion and understand the workflow. The next is Mr. Erwan, again asking for the price system. Again, I would say just stay in touch with email, because we need to understand your Foundry, your process, the number of applications you are interested, number of users you are interested in. Accordingly, the price structure can be defined. So it's very, very flexible, because we are asking as per your requirement what price structure will fit to your size and the number of requirements of the user. So we can discuss with each of you. If you can just send us the email would be great, or share your email address with me would be great. The ROI, as I said earlier, it's very, very beginning from even first or second month, because the already investment required in Windows server, hardware license is zero. So the ROI will start from the very few months, because you will be able to see where you are losing the money within the moment you start entering the correct data. So ROI should start actually within 1 month of your life, which should be, let's say, about 4 to 6 months, 6 weeks from the start of kickoff meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Busan. Maybe if any other question, you can answer directly in the
Yes. If anyone has question,
area.
I am still live here. You can drop me message in Zoom, or I will also share, or happily will share the contact details or email. You may also contact us separately.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Busan.
Thank you, Mr. Yun.
Next session will be to Mr. Cahyono. Is there Mr. Cahyono there?
Yeah, I am here.
Oke. Baik, suaranya terdengar jelas, Pak Cahyono.